You're muted, Mayor. Mayor, you're muted.
To order the February 1st, 2021 meeting of the Wilsonville City Council. Will you please unmute your mics for a roll call from the city recorder with Ms. Felice?
Councillor Linville?
Present.
Councillor West?
Here.
Council President Ockervall?
Here.
Councillor Lehan?
Here.
Mayor Fitzgerald?
Here. Now please mute your mics again so that City Manager Cosgrove can lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, one nation under God, with liberty and justice for all. I've only said that about 3,000 times in the last 5 years.
You just got too excited about thinking you had a short.
I have 2 masks on, so I can't breathe. My brain is getting cut off of oxygen.
Thank you, Mr. Cosgrove. We all, that's fine. Do I have a motion to approve the order of agenda as amended?
Your Honor, I move. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't see it.
Councillor Lehan.
Your Honor, I move to approve the amended order of agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councillor Linville. All in favor. I have a motion and a second to approve the order of agenda as amended. All in favor, say aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
All in favor.
Aye.
The motion passes 5-0. Now, under Mayor's business, I was just reviewing the last 29 days since our swearing in. We have had 4 city council meetings. If it feels a little bit heavy, that's probably one reason. So I want to thank the council and all of the staff and everyone involved for their support. We probably don't usually have that many meetings. And, you know, in addition, over the last month, I think we've had a lot of representation by our council and me as well, regionally with different city committees. There's been a lot of activity. And we're also planning ahead as best we can with our state, county, and federal partners to contain and eradicate COVID-19. And that is something that is just really important to all of our families, school kids, businesses. Have been in touch with the county, have gone to a couple of meetings with the county, and I think they're really trying to be responsive to us. Our city public works department, I've talked to them a couple of times. They also were at a meeting with the Clackamas County that I attended, and looking at being as ready as we can be when things open up, so that if there's if at all possible, when the time is right, could we have a drive-up or some kind of a mass vaccination center in or near Wilsonville? So that's something that people have asked about. It's too early for that, but know that we are talking about that and have been talking with Representative Neron and others about all of the concerns about the equitable rollout of COVID-19 vaccinations. So stay tuned. Our city website has been updated, and I think it'll continue to be updated. Other things that happened this week that were the last couple of weeks, I enjoyed attending the second Westland-Wilsonville Schools Joint Cities Equity Summit and met a number of people. I saw Council President Ockervall there as well. Of course, it was all on Zoom. And I noticed in a follow-up email that Superintendent Dr. Ludwig summarized the session as a commitment to our collective work on anti-racism in our schools and across our Westland and Wilsonville communities to become a race equity community. And I think she's speaking about that whole region. And I expect we will see more actions on those goals. And coming up here in Wilsonville, the next action is, as we discussed at the last meeting, we will be forming a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee. And there are, we will then begin the steps to appoint people to that committee. And we will use the same process that is in our charter and in our council rules that was used that has been being used and was used in the last process. And what that is we will issue an application when it's ready, and I think we have a little work to do to get ready for that application. We have to create some of the other concepts with the core group who started that. That application will be made available to people, and a deadline will be given. And once the applications are received, all of the counselors, as we have done over time, will have a chance to interview all of the applicants. Also, maybe there would be a counselor who thinks of somebody who might be good to apply. They could mention that person, go to the city site, here's the application, you could fill it out. You could let me know about, some people that you might know who are applying, so we could hear about that. So all of that is part of the process. And I'm not sure exactly how long it will take, but that is, as far as I can tell, our next round of appointments. And in addition to that, citizen involvement that we all took part in this last week was the first session of the Citizens Academy. All the counselors were there, and the group of 30 or more was very accommodating of all of us. I think everybody on the council said they hoped they didn't talk too much, but I think everybody was very enthusiastic about it, and we heard some good comments. So I think it's the 5th or 6th session of Citizens Academy, which takes several weeks to go through, and the participants get to learn all about the city, learn who's running the departments, and to find out more about that, you can go to the city website and look that up. And just a couple of other things I wanted to share without going on too much. We had this last week, the first education meeting for the Development Review Board, and that was attended by all the new appointees as well as some people who are continuing. And Barbara Jacobson, our city attorney, presented training on that, and people asked questions, and I thought it was a very good meeting, and appreciate all of the volunteers who take part in these meetings, these boards that do require a lot of time. And then we also had the Budget Committee meeting led by Budget Committee Chair Andrew Carr. All the members of the council were there, and our 5 city citizen volunteers. So the last thing I will say as the mayor that was really interesting this week for me, and I'm sure for everyone, good information, is that ODOT did complete, as expected, their study, and they released the study on what should be done to address the bottleneck challenges on the Boone Bridge, which is really an arterial for the West Coast between Mexico and Canada. I mean, we call it our local bottleneck, but it's really a West Coast and international bottleneck, and it does need work. It's a 60-year-old bridge, and you can read the executive summary. It's a very accessible summary it may be on our city website. I didn't look yet, but I know you can find it if you go to the Oregon Department of Transportation website and Google Boone Bridge. You can find that study and read it, and essentially they determined that there's no logical reason to retrofit or do a partway repair because of the condition of the bridge, and if we want, in order to accomplish the appropriate seismic strengthening needs and also manage the traffic in the way they think would work best, it needs to be replaced, and that would be, they're estimating at this early phase, between 450 and 550 million. So to get to the next level of accuracy, if you want to call it that, there's a lot of steps to be accurate about how to build something that huge. There is another layer of design that needs to be done to bring it to the 15% design point. And I did have an exchange with one of the executives at ODOT who let us know that their estimate is that would cost just probably under another $4 million to do that level of design. Overall, these bridges take a lot of time to design and build. It could be still several years, even 9 years or more. And so the reason I consider it to be a #1 priority is we have to get started right now to figure out how to pay for it. And that is not a city budget thing, of course, but that is a federal, state, and regional goal. So we'll be working more on that. Just want to let everyone know that the next meeting of the City Council is Thursday, February 18th, 2021. It's held on a Thursday because of the President's Day holiday on Monday. And that brings us to our communications section of our agenda. And Community Development Director Chris Namsu will now provide a status update on the Restaurant Relief Grant Program.
There we are. Thank you very much, Mayor Fitzgerald, members of the City Council. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. My name is Chris Namsu. I'm the city's Community Development Director, and I'm here to provide you with a high-level overview of some of the summary findings from our Restaurant Relief Program. By way of background, the City Council obviously recognizes the devastating effects that the COVID-19 pandemic has had on many of our local businesses, specifically the restaurant industry, and the Council is deeply committed to identifying solutions that provide relief and restore the health of our business community. It's in this spirit that the city provided temporary financial assistance to help restaurateurs overcome the loss of revenue and disruption from the COVID-19 pandemic, and those health orders that resulted in them having to close their indoor seating. So it was on December 7th that the City Council established the Restaurant Relief Program. And tonight, again, I am here to just provide you with a high-level overview, the summary of the program, and how successful it was. I'm going to share my screen now. Hopefully everybody can see that okay. Is that legible, Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you. So program summary, a little high-level program summary. The city has 60 restaurants in our portfolio, and amazingly, 30 of those restaurants were determined to be full-service restaurants, and 30 were identified as self-service restaurants. I should point out some of the numbers we had going into the December 7th meeting were slightly different. We had not identified all of the restaurants. We had overlooked a small handful of 3 or 4, and we had miscategorized a variety. So one of the challenges early on was getting all the restaurants into the appropriate categories. And we were able to do that by doing background research, calling, engaging, and talking to the restaurateurs themselves to understand their actual operations. So 50% were full service and 50% were self-service. We received 43 applications out of the 60 eligible applications. Of the 30 full-service restaurants, we received applications from 26 of those restaurants. And again, by way of background, the full-service restaurants are the establishments where you have some sort of host staff as well as wait staff, where your food is brought to your table and bussed from your table. The self-service restaurants are really the ones where you order at a counter. You may decide to eat inside the restaurant, but you generally do the bussing of the wasted elements yourself. You clean up after yourself once you're finished with your meal. So that was kind of the differentiating factors that we came up with to create the 2 tiers of eligible grants within the program. And we received 17 applications from the self-service restaurants for 57% of the eligible restaurants. The process that we followed was that the Community Development Department staff communicated directly with each restaurant, informing them of the program, identifying the website, encouraging them to go to the website, download the forms, and then reach out to us with any specific questions. In addition to that, the staff provided a mailed letter. I hand-wrote a letter to each restaurant, and we also identified the primary contact on our business license listing, and staff reached out to every restaurant via email, again, informing them of the website and the background and what it is that they needed to do to apply. The staff that supported me in this project, I'd like to recognize Tammy Bergeron of my team. She was absolutely instrumental in helping out and reaching out multiple times, walking people through the application, and just helping anybody who needed a hand in making this a successful grant application. Additionally, during the eligibility timeframe, Tammy primarily made follow-up calls and sent emails to all the restaurants that we had not heard from, again, informing them of the deadlines and encouraging them to come forward and apply for the resources that the council had made available to help benefit their business. So eligible full-service sit-down restaurants that applied each received $1,785.71. The general takeout self-service establishments each received $1,000 per restaurant. 2 rounds of payments were issued by the finance department, with funds being distributed just before Christmas and just after the New Year's Eve holiday. So I can't tell you, again, I have some quotes at the end of the presentation, the outpouring of appreciation and support that the City Council received through this program truly warmed our hearts. We were so proud to be able to work on this program, to be able to distribute funds to local businesses, people we know, people we care about, who are really struggling. I mean, this was a very, very important and heartfelt program that just garnered tremendous appreciation from the restaurant community. It truly was a very special thing. And our finance department, they worked very hard, hand in hand with Tammy and myself, again, in making sure that we were very well organized, that we were hitting the deadlines that we were promising, most importantly, and getting the money into the people's hands as absolutely quickly as we possibly could. So think about it. December 7th, we identified a program. By December 25th, we had half the resources out in the community, and then about a week later, we had the remainder of the resources out into the community, which was just truly outstanding. So the City Council ended up providing a total of $63,400, and sorry, the faces are all blocking that last number, so I can't. $410, $63,410 to local restaurants in need. Of that, $46,410 went to the full-service restaurants, and $17,000 went to the self-service restaurants. So who did not apply? Well, 17 of the eligible restaurants did not apply, totaling 28%. Out of that, 4 or 13% of the restaurants were full service, and 13 of the self-service restaurants decided not to apply. Of the applications that we received, 43 of those, or 72%, submitted a complete application on the first round. It was a little bit challenging at times to have to go through the applications and find boxes that were unchecked or W-9s that just didn't quite have all the appropriate information. So we ended up spending a significant amount of time chasing down that information, re-engaging with the individuals, re-informing them of what was needed, and asking them to resubmit a complete application. When we were doing the outreach, 2 of the restaurants reported that their businesses were actually doing quite fine, and that they just wanted to allow the opportunity for others to utilize the emergency funds. And it was our observation during the process that many of the self-service restaurants, particularly the ones such as your Papa Murphy's or your Starbucks or your Jimmy John's, that their business models did not appear to be as negatively impacted by the pandemic, and that they were generally able to perform business in a relatively normal manner compared to others. So we didn't see as many applications from those types of restaurants that were just kind of able to continue to do their normal takeout business. On the application, I asked what would the funds be used for, and the vast majority identified payroll and rent and bills as the things that they wanted to use the money for. 8 of the applicants received funds identified equipment, 6 identified deferred maintenance, and 4 had other reasons. And we did make them promise that they would use the resources only on business-related activities. That was one of the requirements of the program. So some of the comments received, and this is in conclusion, the owners of Abellas expressed their gratitude for the grant opportunity. The Eero House appreciated the funds to be able to pay his staff, which he was having trouble doing at that particular time. The ownership of Juan Colorado wanted to thank the City Council for the support for his family business. The Indian Kitchen was a sad case. The new ownership just bought the restaurant in January of 2020. They were obviously hit immediately after that with COVID, and they were just so appreciative to the City Council for caring about his restaurant's success and for allocating resources to try to help him get through this very difficult time. The ownership at Vanguard Brewing, again, very appreciative of the Wilsonville City Council and everything it is doing to help small businesses survive during these incredibly trying times. And lastly, Sung Yi over at the Holiday Inn of Boontown Tap and Grill, incredibly gracious. Thank you very much for your help with the grant. We so much appreciate the city of Wilsonville and everything that it is doing to help small businesses survive these trying times. So again, we want to thank the city council, the staff that worked on this program. It was a very fulfilling exercise. We know it's not enough and it'll never be enough, but I wanted to just come back to the council and give you a small report on the success of the program, which I feel was incredibly successful and shared tremendous goodwill in the community. So good job, City Council. I'm very proud. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Namsu. And, oh, great. If we remove that picture, then I can see the hands. So would each counselor like to make a comment? Counselor Linville.
Well, I want to just thank Chris and your staff and all the other and the business office staff. I mean, you just kind of picked up, charged with this thing, and so thank you so much for getting it out. And I think Mr. Cosgrove was on vacation, slipped back in, and he started digging right in as well. So thank you very much, Mr. City Manager, as well, and helping the staff. And what a great project. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor West had your hand up.
I mean, what I'll say, and this is totally outside of our jurisdiction and outside the city of Wilsonville, but I truly believe Congress could not act quicker and the president cannot act quicker to get people their $2,000 checks into the hands of hardworking Americans and people that live in Wilsonville and throughout Oregon. But what Congress and the president could not do, we are trying to do on a local level. I've always said this over and over again, is the government closest to you impacts your life the most, and we were responsive. And I think great leadership is innovative and adaptable, and we've done that multiple times as a team. And I am so proud of how, as a community, we've stepped up. The staff stepped up and took on a monumental task. I mean, this is not just a small ask that we gave our staff. What the staff did was, in my opinion, heroic, and many governmental bodies did not do what we did as a small little city. And I am thankful also that this council and previous councils had the foresight to make sure that we had the financial ability to step up in this matter, to touch people's lives where it mattered most. And it shows so much great leadership. I'm really, really proud that we were able to do that. And I not only want to say thank you to the staff, and to the rest of my counselors and the mayor, but I also really want to say the small businesses in our community have done so much in booster clubs and sports and donating to this thing and that thing through our community, and they pay taxes so that we can have this amazing service with Smart. So I'm just really proud of everybody and how we can give us support those small businesses. So I guess I'll leave it at that, but thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Councilor Linda Lehan, please.
I didn't think I was asking to speak, but yes, of course, I'm very appreciative of the staff for all the work they did on this, and I'll just say ditto to what's been said already.
Thank you. Councilor Ackerval, Council President.
No, thank you so much, and thank you for bringing that feedback to us. That's really helpful. That's nice to hear how this turned out, and that how well received it was, and also, some of that data that we were able to see on how it would be money is being used, and who was able to take care of or take advantage of the small grants. But thank you for all of that information, and also echo Councilor West's comments of thanks to our small business community and the restaurants in our community that have been just chugging along and trying to do things in a safe way for our community members.
Well, thank you, everyone. And I mean, you've all said it really well. I completely agree. And I believe, just to recap, that those funds were Urban Renewal Program funds. Is that correct, Mr. Namsu?
Yes, program income, correct.
Okay, so one step in a really good direction. And now all we need is millions of vaccines.
That's right.
So I would like to now move, thank you, Mr. Namsu. I think if that will conclude that presentation.
Thank you very much.
And now we will move to councilor comments, liaison reports, and meeting announcements. And we're kind of on time here, but we can kind of try to keep going. Excuse me, this is...
Mayor Fitzgerald.
Oh.
Next up is...
Oh, I missed it.
Citizen input.
Excuse me, let me
read it, and at the end, I'll give you the surprise that nobody's waiting to speak under public comment, but go ahead.
Okay, so retract my last statement. We are not at councilor comments. We're at citizen input and community announcements. This is an opportunity for visitors to address the city council on items not on the agenda. It is also the time to address items that are on the agenda but not scheduled for a public hearing. Staff and the city council make every effort to respond to questions raised during citizen input before tonight's meeting ends or as quickly as possible thereafter. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and use the raise hand feature of Zoom to let us know if you would like to provide comments. Do we have any citizens waiting?
We do not.
Thank you. I will now move on to councilor comments, liaison reports, and meeting announcements, and I will start with Council President Ockervall.
Thank you. This last 2 weeks or week and a half, what it was, I was able to attend. Last week felt like an exceptionally busy week. Several of the meetings that Mayor Fitzgerald has already discussed. I did want to make one point, though, about the Equity Summit meeting that was hosted by Westland Wilsonville School District, and how impressed I was with some of our young leaders in the city and the students that participated in that meeting. I also wanted to express my appreciation for our police service and city staff leaders for their participation in that meeting as well. And I think it's really great to have some of those opportunities to come together in different groups that all serve our community and have those discussions together. So I also was able to attend the LOC Capitol Day this last Thursday, and of course this year it was an online series of meetings throughout the afternoon, and I found that to be really informative, and we were able to hear from a number of our different state leaders, but also from LOC. All of their training, I think, opportunities in its many different forms are always very valuable for how we can best serve in our city councilor roles. And this definitely fit into that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilor Lehan.
Yes, I just need to say that, correct something that the mayor misspoke on the when she said that all of the council was participating at the Citizens Academy.
I'm sorry.
Because I was absent. I spent most of last week unexpectedly in the hospital, but fortunately it was not COVID related, and I was thoroughly tested for that. So, but I will say I was on deck. I mean, I was scheduled, let's say, I was scheduled to do the history presentation for the Citizens Academy. And in very short notice, I just dumped it on Greg Leo, our lobbyist, and he took it and put it together without any help. So I greatly appreciate Mr. Leo stepping in and doing that, and also wanted to say thank you to the council and staff for the lovely card and flowers, which of course were from a local florist. So
well, thank you, Councilor Lehan, and we did miss you. I'm sorry I misspoke. I will say city staff gave you a great bio, and
they made a lot of stuff up. You mean?
Yeah, well, it sounded good to me. So welcome back. I'm glad you're feeling well. And now, Councilor West.
Thank you, and Councilor Lehan, I'm glad that you were back with us as well. Greg Leo did a great job filling in for your very big shoes on the history of Wilsonville. It's always one of the highlights of the Citizens Academy because you truly are Wilsonville's local historian. And so I think you did a fantastic job. I was very impressed with the meeting, and it was wonderful that the rest of the council could all be there all together. And then the engagement that we got from the Citizens Academy was fantastic. We also, no one's mentioned this meeting that we all did. We also were at the budget strategic meeting that was in the same week. It was a lot like Council President Eckervall's right. It's been a little bit heavy loaded month and week for the council. But we've had some quite a few meetings. But yeah, we also, I felt like had a very productive meeting there also. I found it very informative, and I thought the consultants did a fantastic job explaining some new tools and stuff to us. So if anybody in our community is into that kind of stuff, I think it's posted online or on our YouTube page. They could check that out. But beyond all the meetings and the 2 additional meetings last week, I don't have much more to report than what has been said, but we'll see what happens until the next meeting and what we get to report then. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilor Linville.
Thank you, Your Honor. I won't belabor again that I attended all those meetings as well, but I did want to mention, as Council President Ackervall said, I also attended the day at the Capitol, and I received today or yesterday some of the materials that were made available as a result of that, and I have forwarded that email to City Manager Cosgrove in case anyone might be interested in some of those materials. So, and the only other point that I wanted to make was, again and again, there was a mention of how helpful and useful OLIS is, which is the Oregon Legislative Information System, I think, or Legislature Information System. And for tracking bills and looking at bills and just kind of keeping track, there's so much information. So I would recommend that any of our citizens, it's just OLIS, you can Google that and it will come up and you just get yourself, signed on, and you'll have access to it. And then I haven't heard yet, but I think we are going to have council diversity, equity, and inclusion training. It's either going to be the 5th or the 9th of this month, and so I'm just waiting to hear. I'm looking forward to that, and our consultant is going to do that training with us. I did attend also the Wilsonville Alliance for an Inclusive Community, just kind of as a listener to their meeting, and they're really talking about some really interesting planning for activities, cultural activities in the community, and developing a calendar. Some pretty exciting stuff. And there is one activity that they are offering on their website that's coming up fairly soon. And then I wanted to just encourage all of our citizens to participate on the 9th of February in one of the the Town Center Streetscape Forums. We really want to hear input from people, and certainly heard that discussion from us tonight about signposts and seats and hay bales and technology, and so I just encourage everyone to attend. Those are important opportunities for our citizens to have input. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Linville. And I will now bring us to the consent agenda. And will the city attorney please read the consent agenda?
Resolution number 2872, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville authorizing the city manager to execute a professional services agreement contract amendment with Dull LLC for advanced engineering design services for the I-5 pedestrian bridge project. And secondly, minutes of the January 4, 2021 City Council meeting.
Thank you. May I have a motion on the consent agenda, please? Councilor.
Your Honor, I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda as read. Is there a second?
I'll second, Your Honor.
Motion's been seconded by Councilor West. All in favor, please indicate by raising your hand and saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Moving to new business, we have an item under new business, resolution number 2878.
Resolution number 2878, resolution authorizing refunding of outstanding borrowings.
Will Ms. Rodacher please present the staff report?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This evening, the resolution in front of you is for the authorization to refunding our wastewater treatment plant debt. Originally, the debt was $38.9 million, and that was issued back in 2011. I remember how excited we were to get 3.45% interest, because at that time, we were one of the few small cities that were able to get such a great rate. But today we're looking at refinancing at $26.1 million, and it looks like that we should be able to get interest rates between 1.25% and 2.25%, which would result in $1.5 million to $3 million in savings and just in interest only on these debt. Having looked at what's going on in the market this last week, I think we'll probably be in the $2.5 to $3 million range of savings. This is not a normal activity for the finance director, and so we do have a team put together to help us get through all of this. We have our financial advisor, Duncan Brown from PFM. He's helping us with the RFP and the interpretation of the data that we will receive back from the bank. And we also have Golgan Uger from Hawkins Delafield, and she is our bond counsel. And their team has actually put together the resolution that is up for approval, as it is very important that we have all of the right ORSs and all the I's dotted and the T's crossed. We are expecting RFPs to be turned in this Friday on February 5th. And we sent out 13 RFPs, but we probably will only receive back 2 or 3, just because this is considered a small refinancing, even though it's quite large for the city of Wilsonville. Are there any questions?
No questions? Thank you, Ms. Rodacher. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2878?
Your Honor, I move to approve resolution number 2878 to save us some money.
We have a motion to approve by Councilor West. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Lehan. Any discussion? Councilor Lehan.
Just excellent job on the part of the finance department.
Thank you. Councilor West.
I think the staff this week is trying to show us how magnificent they are. It's like home run after home run. Thank you, guys.
And they are doing it. Thank you. And yeah, it's really, we do need to celebrate this. We don't know when we would have this kind of opportunity, but we have it right now, so we'll celebrate it. And it's really great whenever we can do great work and save the city money. And so if there's no further discussion, I will call for the vote. All those in favor say aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
The resolution 2878 passes 5-0. We have no other formal business for tonight's agenda, which brings us to the city manager's business.
Thank you, Mayor. Just two items, and they're both related to DEI. Councilor Linville mentioned the implicit bias training that we're asking everybody that's going to be involved in the DEI process to undergo, which would include all of you and all of key staff. So you have 2 dates that were sent to you. If you have not responded to Ms. Monahan for one of those 2 dates, please do so. The first one is Friday, and I believe the next one is the week after that. Secondarily, it is my intention to come back to you at the next meeting with a pretty major update on all the work we've been doing with the informal working group. There is going to be a request and probably a recommendation from me that we deviate somewhat from our standard kind of committee appointment process. I will bring those details to you at the next meeting and make a recommendation that you give me direction to make these process changes, and I'll work with the city attorney on any kind of council protocol rules or anything that we need to maybe make a vote on to amend those rules. But so I look forward to having that discussion at the next meeting. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Cosgrove. And I want to now see if we have any legal business.
We have no further legal business tonight.
Well, with that, I am going to adjourn the meeting of the Wilsonville City Council February 1st at 7:54 p.m. Thank you.
Good night.